You know that moment when you open your bank app and instead of instantly closing it out of fear, you actually smile? Like when you stop doing mental math before buying a coffee or worrying that groceries might mean instant noodles for the rest of the week. There's a certain number where that shift happens, and it's not what most people think. Most financial gurus will tell you that you need $1 million to feel rich, or that hitting six figures is the magic milestone. But they're missing something important. There's a much smaller number that completely changes how you think about money. And once you reach it, everything feels different. That number is $20,000. My name is Mr. Invest, and I spend way too much time thinking about money, financial psychology, and why some people seem to build wealth effortlessly while others stay stuck in the same cycle for years. If you actually want to understand how wealth works, not just hope things get better, consider subscribing and liking the video if this helps you see money differently. Now, before we dive into why $20,000 is such a game changer, let me ask you something. When you think about building wealth, what comes to mind? Maybe it's someone born into money, or someone grinding endlessly, saving dollar by dollar. But real wealth building doesn't work the way most people think. Here's what actually happens. There are invisible financial thresholds, and once you cross them, the rules completely change. $20,000 is the first major threshold. It separates people who eventually build wealth from those who stay stuck paycheck to paycheck. And the wild part? Most people don't even realize this threshold exists. Think of it like pushing a heavy boulder uphill. At the start, it's exhausting. You're barely making progress. You're questioning if it's even worth it. But once it gains momentum, everything changes. Eventually, it rolls almost on its own. That's what $20,000 feels like. Before it, everything feels like an uphill struggle. After it, it feels like things are finally working in your favor. But here's the surprising part. The change isn't just about having more money. It happens in your brain. When you don't have savings, your brain operates in survival mode. Every decision is driven by fear and scarcity. You take bad job offers because you can't afford to wait. You stay in situations you hate because leaving feels risky. You say yes to things you don't even want just for money. Your mind isn't focused on growth, it's focused on survival. It's like trying to plan your future while your house is on fire. But once you cross that $20,000 mark, something shifts. You stop asking, "How do I survive?" and start asking, "How do I grow?" You move from reacting to planning. Even small savings create this effect. Research shows that just $2,000 in emergency savings can increase financial well-being by over 20%. Now imagine having 3 to 6 months of expenses saved, which for many people is around $20,000. That's when your brain finally has breathing room. And this is where things get interesting mathematically. Let's say you're saving $1,000 a month and earning around 8% returns. Your first $20,000 might take about 19 months. That's discipline. That's sacrifice. But your next $20,000? It comes faster, around 17 months. Why? Because now your money is working with you. By the third $20,000, it gets even quicker, and eventually the numbers become almost ridiculous. At around $400,000 invested, you can generate $20,000 in just a few months without adding anything new. That's the power of compounding. At first, it feels slow and frustrating, but over time, it accelerates. And no, you don't need special investments or insider access. The strategy is the same. The only difference is scale. 10% growth on $1,000 is $100. 10% on $10,000 is $1,000. Same effort, completely different result. That's why $20,000 feels so powerful. It's the point where returns start to matter. But honestly, the most important part isn't the money. It's who you become while saving it. To reach $20,000, you had to build discipline. You had to control your spending. You had to stay consistent. You proved something to yourself, that you're in control of your money. And that identity shift changes everything. You stop stressing over small purchases because you know you've handled the big ones. But there's another shift most people don't talk about. You start seeing opportunities instead of just problems. When you're broke, every expense feels like a disaster. Car repair? Crisis. Laptop breaks? Stress. Rent increases? Panic. But with $20,000 saved, those same situations become manageable. Even better, you can finally act on opportunities, a business idea, an investment deal, a career move. Before, you couldn't afford to take the risk. Now, you can actually consider it. This is what people mean when they say money attracts money. It's not magic, it's options, and options create opportunity. Another surprising shift, you stop obsessing over small expenses and start focusing on big decisions. Instead of worrying about coffee, you focus on income, housing, and investing, because those are the things that actually move the needle. And this mindset frees up your energy to think bigger. Now let's talk about your career, because this is where things really change. When you live paycheck to paycheck, you're stuck. You can't leave your job, you can't negotiate, you can't take risks. But with $20,000 saved, you have something powerful: walking away money. You don't have to tolerate bad situations. You can negotiate better. You can explore new opportunities. You can take control. And often, you don't even need to use it. Just knowing it's there changes how you show up. You become more confident, more assertive, and people notice. Better opportunities follow. More income follows. It becomes a positive loop. But here's where most people mess up. They hit $20,000 and then spend it. New car, expensive vacation, big upgrade. Don't do that. That money isn't a reward. It's your foundation. It's the seed of your future wealth. And one of the biggest wealth killers are cars. Most people spend hundreds of thousands of dollars over their lifetime on transportation. Meanwhile, they say they can't afford to invest. And the worst part? A new car loses value the moment you drive it. You're not just spending money, you're losing it. Compare that to investing. One destroys wealth, the other builds it. And once you understand this, your mindset changes. You stop asking, "Can I afford this monthly payment?" and start asking, "What is this costing my future?" That $30,000 purchase could be $200,000 later. And suddenly, smarter choices feel easier. This applies to everything: housing, lifestyle, hobbies. You become intentional, not restrictive, just smarter. And often, you realize you don't even want many of those things anymore, because what you really want is freedom. Look, $20,000 won't make you rich overnight, but it will completely change how you think. It's the difference between surviving and building, between reacting and designing your life. Start building that foundation today, because your future self is depending on it. And trust me, they'll thank you for it.